Good evening, Chicago, and welcome to another edition of Chicago Corner. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and I take full responsibility. I am the Hardlands Media patient zero that unwittingly exposed my colleague, Mr. Cabello, to COVID as I tested positive on Wednesday after I did a Tuesday Hardlands Media show with him. So I cannot emphasize enough, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of returning to wearing masks in public gatherings. And I'll tell you why. As you all know, probably from last year, I am vaccinated. I got the jab twice last April and last May, the Pfizer jab. I did not get boosted yet because I don't go out. And you know what? I should get boosted, and I'm going to get boosted after this passes. But I rarely go out, only to the grocery store. I will use those electronic carts since I, have a disability to get around the store, which keeps people away from me, makes it easier for me to get my stuff out to my car. Rarely engage in any social activities with a lot of people. But I went to a memorial service this past Sunday where there were about 150 people and barely any masks. And I didn't wear my mask. I didn't think twice. I let my guard down. And I shouldn't have, because Tuesday I started feeling a few body aches, and Tuesday night after I did the Hardlands Media show with Kit, a lot of coughing, a lot of hacking, a lot of shakes. That's why I went and got tested Wednesday morning, tested positive. The news is very much underreporting these strains going around, even if you're vaccinated. And I do think, as I've said in the past, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You can't be too careful. If you're vaccinated, if you're boosted, and you're in big crowds, wear a mask. I just think it's the safer way to go. My throat feels like I've been gargling with glass. That's the worst of my symptoms. Thankfully, I have no fever. But it has been a little difficult these past couple of days, and it's been uncomfortable. And again, I feel stupid because I've been so good about being careful, and unfortunately, this happened. So, just a word to the wise to everybody else: please be careful out there. Don't underestimate the fact that these strains are getting stronger. And if you haven't gotten vaccinated, why not? Yeah, I know it's not going to completely protect you, but I feel much better that I had some antibodies in me to stave off what could have been worse as I got sick this week. So, without further ado, I am going to bring on my co-host for the evening, Mr. Kit Cabello.
I knew it was you, Jerry. You broke my heart. I knew it was you.
Do you know how bad I felt that you had to broadcast from home the past 2 nights? I'm like, I completely interrupt. I mean, not intentionally. Who could imagine, that I couldn't have imagined that would happen.
Look, let's face it, this virus is everywhere. From here on out, though, I promise things are going to be done a little bit differently. Should I be exposed to it or anyone else, there's going to be a different policy now going forward. And yeah, so I do have a stuffy nose, and I do have a little bit of a cough. Now, my doctor's called me back.
Really? Oh, you do have? Okay, well.
Hold on. Wait. I'm allergic to dust and dirt and pollen. So It's hay fever season 2. It's summer. So the thing is, my test came back negative. So right now I have a stuffy nose. So that's why I'm a little coughing right now. It's not because I was outside or exposed or anything. So everything's all good.
Let me share something though, Kit, because my understanding is the incubation period is 1 to 10 days. Now, I think I was exposed Sunday because the only other place I was the studio last Tuesday with you and FaZe and our Can TV guest, and nobody was sick, and I would have heard if someone was sick since then. So I feel like I had a 2-day incubation till I got sick. You saw me this past Tuesday, which was 3 days ago. I'm just going to say, you might want to, just to be safe, get another, if you've got these slight symptoms, maybe it hasn't completely entered your system.
All right. Don't worry about it. See,
all right. Well, I do worry because I don't want you to get sick.
My house is very dusty and everything else.
Okay.
But I really haven't had any other symptoms. No real big headaches. No coughing or sore throat. No muscle pains. No headaches. I've been just fine. It's just only right now I just got a little stuffy because I was doing some cleaning and I moved some dust. So they need to blow my nose.
Well, I know you also take care of your grandpa. That's the first thing I called you and I said, Kit, isolate yourself from your grandpa till you get a test, because we know that seniors are more at risk, and I'm sure you did. And I had to call people like that I had been in touch with since Monday. I had gone to a shop on Tuesday. I contacted you. I contacted my sister, who I was sitting next to at the luncheon on Sunday, the memorial luncheon. It's just
Jerry,
like going through this
I
laundry
am
list.
invincible. No virus is going to take me down.
All right, you're not that easy to kill like me.
No.
All right.
No. You can't kill me. But I do.
All right. Miguel says, "Don't jinx it." I won't say anymore. I'm just glad you're safe. Let me bring our other co-host in tonight, who's on camera live, Mr. Ed Heller.
Oh wow, it's actually working today.
Awesome. What happened to Kit camera? Was that me or?
Oh, that could be like maybe when mine works, his stops working. Is that
that should happen?
No. Okay.
For some reason, he may have. I don't know. We lost the signal with Kit. He'll be back. How you doing, Ed?
I'm okay. My voice actually has been kind of like an octave lower because I probably have the similar allergy reactions that Kit has around this time of year. And it's hard for me to tell because I'll get these respiratory things, and I don't think it's, for me, anything that's like a pandemic-related response. I think it might just be one of the seasonal things going around. And then, my immune system will kick in and I'll know it's working. The one thing I can only recommend to people is boost your immune systems. There's information out there. I'm not a doctor. Do your own research. Boost your immune systems the way that the doctors tell you to make sure that your body will be able to stand up and provide an actual response to any type of infections or diseases that may be floating around there. Do what you think is best for you and your family. Protect yourselves in ways that you think you need to protect yourselves.
The worst part of this is that the only thing I can drink comfortably is warm lemon water or tea. And I hate tea and warm lemon water. Okay. But the good thing that's coming out of this, I hope my voice stays this way. It's bringing my voice lower, and I'm happier with a lower voice when I broadcast. So maybe if that sticks with me after this, it'll have been worth it. I don't know.
I can recommend for scratchy throats, just from personal experience, gargling a little salt water will help ease the initial symptoms, and then just make sure you've got a lot of electrolytes on hand. Gatorade, that Propel water stuff is pretty decent. Just anything that you can keep yourself hydrating, but also you're going to find your body's going to want a little more sodium probably, or other types of electrolytes to make up for whatever your body's fighting or trying to adjust to,
as well as vitamin C.
And have no fears, folks. I just blow my nose, so there we go. It's all good. I was just happy to be healthy, and Monday I'll be back in the studio, and I'm ready to kick ass. Let's do this.
The warm liquids actually soothe the swelling in my throat. That at least the warm liquids are helping. It's the only thing that gives me relief. I actually went to the ER last night because I was afraid my throat was going to swell up. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't sleep. I started freaking out because I've got asthma. So I went to the ER and I'm like, is there anything you can do to help the swelling in the throat? And they said, well, with the Omicron variant, that's a symptom, and there's nothing. Just keep taking ibuprofen. They gave me a shot of ibuprofen, and then
antihistamine might help.
Yeah, and I was able to come home and sleep comfortably. But they said I'm doing everything right: warm liquids, tea, lemon water, ibuprofen. The lozenges are helping a little. Anyway, let's get into the show. That was just our nightly wellness check for everybody. So you guys covered the story at Millennium Park on Tuesday really, really well. I was watching. I watched the first part of the show as a rebroadcast. I caught the end of it, but boy, oh boy, this mayor will not stop her finger wagging at everybody in the community as to how they're supposed to be responsible for everything that's happening at the Bean. And I think Kira made some incredibly salient points that, this is all about it happened at a big tourist location downtown. Anywhere else in the city, there wouldn't be any extra curfews. Not that the curfews is going to change anything so long as there are guns on the street and there are no other opportunities or distractions for young kids to direct their attentions elsewhere. So this just got reported today. It's an update on her proposal regarding this downtown curfew. This comes to us from Block Club Chicago, Melody Mercado. Mayor, Chicago's one step closer to changing the weekend curfew to 10 p.m. Mayor Lori Lightfoot's push would expand the weekend curfew to include 17-year-olds too. It currently applies to Chicagoans 16 and younger. I believe the ACLU was challenging her on this, and she decided to finger wag to the ACLU also. Oh boy. The city's Committee on Public Safety approved the proposed change 14-3 Friday. Aldermans Roderick Sawyer of the 6th, Raymond Lopez of the 15th, and Matt Martin of the 47th voted against the measure. Lightfoot announced earlier this week that she'd push to move the weekend curfew up after 16-year-old Shondell Holiday was killed near the Bean Saturday in a shooting that saw dozens of others arrested after hundreds of black youth gathered downtown. She also announced an executive order to ban unaccompanied minors from Millennium Park on weekend nights. Lightfoot's changes would move the weekend curfew from 11 p.m. to 10 p.m. and expand it to include 17-year-olds. It currently applies to Chicagoans 16 and younger. Chicago Police Lieutenant Mike Kapusniak claimed the change would give police an additional tool in the toolbox to engage young people at earlier hours. Lopez countered police haven't used the current curfew to their advantage, pointing to data showing 364 minors were found in violation of the curfew in 2021. Ed, you made a good point on Tuesday's show also about how, these new initiatives that she wants to put in place are potentially also ripe for being abused where it comes to public gatherings of protest after certain hours or during certain hours.
Yeah, I had brought up that it was interesting to hear her say time, place, and manner restrictions when talking about curfews.
Yeah,
because like I said on Tuesday, that's typically phrase used to stifle free speech protests. So basically, they decide when, where, and how you can use your free speech. And I guess in a way, kids being able to go and travel and go to the park and stuff is a sort of a First Amendment thing too, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what excuse me, what Kira mentioned also with as it was reported, I believe Shondell had hit his shooter from behind or jumped him from behind, and I don't remember the shooter's name. I think it's in the article. But he had a gun on him. I mean, not that any underage kid should have a gun, but like how you respond to being attacked from behind, just all the circumstances around this and the fact you can't control creating a curfew and punishing other minors, punishing other underage kids who are not out doing anything wrong is a pandering Band-Aid solution. It's not going to stop this from happening. And
it's also it's a fairly useless thing to just
absolutely
go from 11 p.m. to 10.
Yeah.
And if the kids are going to be brazen enough to carry guns with them, do you think they're going to care about a difference of an hour?
No, she has to do something to make it look like she's the new Rahm Emanuel with her authoritarian regime and making it look like what she's doing is going to change anything. When what do we know, guys? What would change things? Proactive solutions, investing money into the communities, not upping the police presence and more money towards overtime and everything else. Every damn show we're talking about. And I'm going to, Kit, I'll let you go ahead, but also we're going to kind of shift gears from all of these proactive solutions that she doesn't want to engage in, that it's like the definition of insanity. They're doing the same thing over and over and over again, thinking it's going to solve the problem instead of exploring alternative ways to maybe stave some of this off ahead of time if they took new approaches to how to redirect, help, and invest in these communities where, unfortunately, too many kids are distracted or influenced by, or distracted by the wrong influences that causes stuff to happen because they don't have any hope. They've got nothing going on in their lives. in these neighborhoods that have just been abandoned.
So I would like to add into this, especially with Mayor Lightfoot. What is her solution to punish all the young people? These young people need community centers, need their public schools to actually have social programs to inspire them, to get them involved in their communities. Maybe the city decided to invest in the South and West Side neighborhoods instead of divesting the money away from them. Maybe if we use the TIF funds to ensure that, I don't know, maybe young people actually have something to look forward to. You know, all what this curfew is going to do is incite more problems. It's going to add more fuel to the fire. And Chicago is already on the potential becoming an
Let me ask you,
powder keg.
how do you think the curfew will cause more problems as opposed to just it's not going to change anything? I mean, I don't know how it will increase problems so much as it's a bullshit proposition that's really not going to change it.
Here's what I see happening.
Okay.
There could potentially be a situation which we're all too familiar with. An overzealous cop causes a situation to get out of control because of curfew limits. That's what I could see happening.
Okay, that's a point well taken.
And the thing is, it's already there, but Lightfoot with this now more draconian stance onto it, I could just see the problem becoming far worse, or something else happening altogether.
The numbers of minors cited for curfew violations has trended down for years. 2,453 in 2018, 1,804 in 2019, and 635 in 2020, police officials said at a meeting. That's barely one person a day, Lopez said, referring to 2021 numbers. When we talk about having a tool in the toolbox, as you said in your opening remarks, we don't use this tool, do we? Lopez said the city needed a better strategy and that he didn't want to see officers pulled out from his ward to be on curfew patrol downtown, the tourist mecca. Despite repeated questions, Lightfoot has declined to say what exact consequences teens will face if they defy the ban or curfew, because there is not going to be any consequences. She's just flapping her lips to make it look like she's doing something.
Yeah, I think you had a tweet from Jamal in the show notes.
There it is. I was getting to it. Let me bring that up there. Get my... Is that going to increase it? There we go. So Jamal very rightly claims or shares that this is not enforceable. 16-year-olds can easily say they're 18, then what? They have no ID. So you detain them to look it up? Let's be serious here. This is a ridiculous plan. It would have been easier to use the federal COVID money and have activities at schools on the weekends. Geez.
They still got some of that left, don't they?
Yeah, Biden said to start putting it into police enforcement.
Lori already beat him to that.
She was
also paying off her city debt too.
Yeah. Now, let me complete the rest of the article before I transition. And there's actually going to be what's the word? A logical transition here. In an executive order filed Tuesday, city officials said police will use de-escalation and dispersal tools, and only after those efforts fail will officers arrest people. Well, we saw how de-escalation works in a story we're going to be covering in a few minutes with the 13-year-old that they shot who was unarmed.
And we've seen the dispersal tools during the Black Lives Matter protests.
Yeah. A clause in the curfew crackdown would exempt teens coming home from music fests. Of course, would exempt teens coming home from music fests like Lollapalooza and other events that the city's making big money off of. Some aldermen slam the curfew push as out. It's just all words, man. It's just all such fucking bullshit. Some aldermen slam the curfew push as outdated and ineffective Friday, pointing to research that shows curfews don't reduce crime. A 2016 study by the Campbell Collaboration argued curfews are unlikely to be a meaningful solution to juvenile crime. When the curfew was pushed up an hour to 11 p.m. in Washington, D.C., gun violence increased, according to a 2015 study. We're basing crime prevention on hunches and on outdated strategies that need to be quite fair aren't effective, said Alderman Michael Rodriguez. Asked if the city had considered or studied any research on the negative impact of juvenile curfews on crime, officials said no. Asked to produce data supporting the city's use of the juvenile curfew, Deputy Mayor John O'Malley said the city didn't have any to produce. I don't have a staff of 25 people jump on this, O'Malley said. What's being asked here is to change the current curfew ordinance by 1 hour. Maybe I'm missing something here, that it's a bigger ask or bigger step than we're being asked to take. Do we really need research? Alderman Nick Sposato of the 38th said, we're potentially looking at a pretty bad June, July, and August in our city. So something is better than nothing. This is going to help us with the mobs. That's what
isn't, though.
No, it's not. Of course not, Ed. It's just more, it's platitudes. It's platitudes. So, in related news to the curfew and where Mayor Lightfoot expects kids to spend their time and what to do and where the opportunities might be, this was reported by WGN News.
And Mayor Lightfoot announcing today a new outreach program to connect teens with out-of-school activities and jobs.
This coming as confusion remains over how police will enforce a new earlier weekend curfew. WGN's Jenna Barnes is live downtown now with details. Jenna?
Ben and Micah, the mayor unveiling a new way to connect kids with their interests as her curfew hits a potential legal snag. Encouraging Chicago's teens to pursue their passions in the arts and other fields, Mayor Lori Lightfoot unveiled a new app to place hundreds of opportunities at their fingertips.
Okay, so can I say something, guys? Listen, let me pause this.
By youth. On the My Shop.
Hundreds of opportunities. Hundreds. How many? Isn't that like only like 50, 60? I don't know, 100,000 less opportunities that the kids should have on this app. How far are those hundreds of opportunities going to go across a city of, what do we have, 50 wards, 72 neighborhoods, I think? Yeah, hundreds of opportunities. All right, let's have it go on. Plus, does any of this sound familiar to you as like far as implementing things? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's hear the rest of this.
And Jerry, how much money did they spend on this app that we're just learning about?
Yeah, I don't know if they reported anything.
Guys, you're asking questions. Stop asking questions on how we can afford it, okay? And don't any of you dare ask about funding your public schools.
My Future app. Teens can find free activities and events and resources for summer jobs based on their locations and interests. The mayor and
all right, so I'm going to say this. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Now it's being rolled out, and there's somebody in the Chicago community, I think, that had proposed stuff like this specifically with youth centers where they could actually engage kids in person and provide opportunities. But let's hold that thought until we continue this.
Lady Amy Eshelman announced the city is investing $65 million into summer jobs. And
by the way, I'm just waiting for the moment where Lightfoot does this, pulls her head off, and it's Rahm Emanuel, because I think they're about the same height.
Shy My Future programs and events. The organization is celebrating its second anniversary, bringing experiences to Chicago's kids.
Wait, what'd they say? $65 million?
You are portrayed as something that you're not.
I'm sorry.
You want to back that up?
Yeah, I saw $65 million, and I'm wondering if that's what this development, this thing costs.
The organization is celebrating its second anniversary, bringing experiences to Chicago's kids.
The captions are a little late.
$65 million into summer jobs and
into summer jobs
program.
Play and My Future program. Okay, it's not just 65 million into jobs; it's also into the programs.
Okay.
That's what the closed captioning. Okay.
Very good.
And what's up with the buffering here? By the way, I know I did get the bugs out of my system last week. All right, here we go.
You are portrayed as being less and dangerous and without any direction. We all know that that's not true. And this is an important opportunity for us to say, here's who our young people are in the city.
Just don't go down to the bean at night.
Connecting kids with activities is one of the ways to tackle chaos like this. The mayor's curfew is another. Her new executive order says the increase in teens committing crimes has created an emergency, and it directs to immediately increase enforcement of the new 10 p.m. curfew for minors. But
hey, Jerry, stop for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, why again? Once again, this sounds like something she should have brought up the first year she got after getting elected, right?
You think?
Why is she choosing to do this as a reactive solution to an issue people are complaining about now?
Because it's election season and things are worse. She has to make it look like she's doing something now to stave off the fact she's been completely ineffective, feckless, useless, and what's the other word? Well, I used 3 words already. Impotent about solving these problems or preventing these problems. Kit, you were going to say something?
No. Continue
Okay,
on. I
we
mean, it's
continue.
really hard to, again,
Law enforcement,
and the city and everything else with Mayor Lightfoot.
how they're going to enforce a law that doesn't exist, because an executive order is not law on the people of the city of Chicago.
15th Ward.
Oh, come on, man.
How do executive orders work in Chicago? How legally binding are they?
We're going to find out if the ACLU continues to challenge her here. Oh, man. You know, and I've got it up in the Safari
Together on
browser,
Friday
too.
at Public Safety to legitimize her illegal executive order on.
Let's see if I can get this thing. All right. Well, let me take it off screen for a moment. All right. You know, we get the idea.
Mayor Lightfoot announcing today a new outreach program to connect teens with
Starting over?
jobs.
Of course it did. So we get the idea. She's introduced this app. It's re-election time. This is when she chooses to introduce it. Meanwhile, anybody remember this? I've been battling Lori Lightfoot to give me an old school building that's been abandoned for 10 years now to build a 24-hour youth center. We have the plans and the money to do it, but she won't sign it over because she doesn't like me. I have my solution and put my money up. And Kit, you remarked on this Tuesday too with J. Mal's proposals. They purposely don't invest in options for youth, yet try to ban them from downtown when they react. Stop playing. This is by design. Yep. And I was hoping to try to get him on the show to talk about this. Hopefully we'll have him on soon, because I'm just curious to know firsthand. I know that he's gone into City Hall to talk with her, and it's like, I'm just curious to know what his experiences are with either her excuses or how she rebuffs him, or how, well, you know, look, she steals everybody else's ideas. Right? Maybe this new app that they're rolling out is the result of his conversations with her and her way to take his ideas and roll it up into an app where it's not as directly engaging to kids. They just have to use their phones to do shit, and hopefully that'll solve the problem, as opposed to actually putting money into programs that are staffed, locations and centers that are actually staffed, that can provide not just events and I think in J. Mal's case with the youth center, training for trade jobs and stuff like that, but actual counseling. Mental health counseling is very, very important to kids throughout these neighborhoods. This is what an in-person youth center like the one that J. Mal proposed would do. And, you know, slams the door on him, and now they're rolling out this app that I guess kids are just supposed to punch in their information for the hundreds of opportunities that are supposed to be able to spread across the city.
Now, I wonder how much of that private data is going to be collected by third parties as well.
Very good point, Kit. Somebody's making money off of it. These apps don't come out for free. Yes, Oreo. I think Oreo had something to say about it back there.
Well said, Oreo.
There's an agreement. All right, I'm queuing up the next story here. Stand by as I just get the screen ready. At least things are running a little bit smoother tonight as opposed to last Friday's debacle, where I think there were literally gremlins inside my computer causing all those problems when I had to drop out of the show, unfortunately. All right, so speaking of reactive solutions, look, this is a crazy situation. No, this 13-year-old should not have decided to engage in a carjacking, okay? Clearly. Our commentary here is not in any way condoning the crime. But as I will bring up in another tweet by our friend Mr. Green after I share this story, Very, very interesting how the police choose to de-escalate situations. All right. As reported by Pascal Sabino at Block Club Chicago. Video shows Chicago police shooting unarmed 13-year-old boy during chase. The video shows officers chase the teenager who ran from a car believed to be used in a carjacking before one officer shoots and critically wounds him. New video has emerged showing police shooting an unarmed 13-year-old boy. At about 10:30 p.m. Wednesday in the 800 block of North Cicero Avenue, Chicago police officers stopped the driver of a stolen car they suspected had been involved in an Oak Park carjacking, police said. The boy who had been in the car got out and ran away as several officers followed, officials said. One officer shot him, officials said. The driver of the car drove off, and it was later found abandoned in Garfield Park. The 13-year-old boy was hospitalized in serious condition, by the way, unarmed. So they chased him down and shot him, though I don't think that they feared for their lives as they normally claim they are after these incidents happen, according to a civilian Office of Police Accountability spokesperson. The video footage obtained by Chicago Media Takeout appears to show the boy running from at least 5 officers through a gas station parking lot. An officer shoots him, then the boy collapses on his side. One officer shot the boy once, Police Superintendent David Brown said. Brown said the boy turns toward police before the officer shot him, but it's unclear in the video whether the teenager turns to face officers before being shot. Several officers can be seen surrounding the boy as one of the pursuing officers stumbles away, doubles over, and falls to the ground momentarily before getting up. The video shows. Let's go to the video. It might be a little bit disturbing, so just want to give everybody a warning ahead of time, but this is from Chicago Media Takeout so we can see what they're talking about. I don't see that kid turning on the cops. I see that was one shot, not 16, to take somebody down. I just think that it's adrenaline rushes, guys. The heat of the moment, there are some officers that are not equipped to realize when someone's running away from you and there's no weapon, your solution is not to just start firing like Barney Fife. Now, again, this doesn't condone. The kid was involved in a carjacking. Sadly, there's a whole question about how that happened, why that happened, why this kid decided to make that choice. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of investigation into this kid's background, if he has any priors and stuff. But still, what we saw in the video is just a reflection of what we normally see. It's not a de-escalation. It's like, how do I solve this problem? Boom, boom, boom.
That's not due process.
No, it's not. They're like Judge Dredd. Plus,
yeah, you can't just
go ahead.
You can't just use bullets as the only answer to your law enforcement response. Why are they still not correcting that?
Interestingly enough, thank goodness J. Mal was able to remind us of this.
Yep.
I just remember CPD chasing a white man who stole an ambulance weeks ago. White men can literally kill 10 black people and get taken to Burger King before going to jail. Yet our black people can't run without being shot.
The guy who was headed to St. Louis.
Yeah,
that guy.
The guy with the mental health issues. I mean, different circumstances, but the police didn't know that. They didn't know that he was dealing with mental health issues. He didn't. He stole an ambulance. He stole an emergency vehicle. For all they knew, he could have been a terrorist or someone who was going to use that ambulance for some kind of other nefarious reasons. They didn't know that, but they chased him for how long? This kid is running, unarmed, clearly no danger. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, Jerry, we've seen this story before, especially last year, where Adam Toledo was shot wrongly. And the thing is, there was a promise by this mayor that she was going to deal with police brutality and police corruption. And once again, it shows that her administration is unwilling or is completely incapable of dealing with police brutality and police corruption, which is why, again, Mayor Lightfoot has got to go. But hey, don't worry. Biden said we got to fund the police more. So there you go. That's what all the funding is going to, instead of social programs.
Brown said no shots were fired at police and no weapon was recovered at the scene. Officers were not wounded, but 2 were taken to a hospital for observation, police said. They were in good condition. The officers involved will be placed on routine administrative duties, as they always are. for 30 days, police said. Later Friday, police said the officer who shot the teen has been stripped of police powers pending the outcome of COPA's investigation. COPA investigators who probe police shootings collected body camera footage from the officer who fired the shot, city surveillance video from the scene, and third-party video of the incident, but the agency said it won't be released, according to a statement. West Side neighbors who live near where the shooting occurred criticized police for their actions. The police didn't have to shoot him. If he got out of the car running and wasn't a threat, they didn't have to shoot him, said a neighbor in her 70s who lives a block from the gas station. I'm so sad. He's just 13. They don't have guidance. Here's another thing, okay?
13 years old.
13 years old. That was how old was Toledo? I think he was,
I believe he was younger.
he was 15. Yeah, he was
12.
Yeah, 12. All right, so you're chasing a kid who's 13 years old, clearly a kid, through a gas station. There are live pumps there, guys, and who knows, like, if there were cars, like, also in the line of fire at the other pumps.
Yeah, why are you firing a weapon? And
bang, bang, bang. They think they're John McClane or something.
You know, and then how much of the foot chase ordinance were they violating at the same time?
Yeah, which they still haven't worked out the details of, I don't think. I think we reported on
they still haven't?
No, we talked about that a couple months ago. That the
no rush, I guess, right, Lori?
Yeah. Another neighbor in her 50s said the teenager shouldn't have run from officers, but she questions what would have happened even if the boy did comply. How many of them have raised their hands and still got shot, she said. You know, that's a good point, too. Regardless of the kid's crime, he probably figured, I better get the hell out of here because they're going to shoot me anyway. And as it turns out, they did. Sorry, not laughing at the results, but just the irony of the situation.
I guess,
Officers need to be...
this video was something they didn't want coming out either.
Of course not.
According to
Officers need to be held accountable for shooting at the 13-year-old as he ran away. Youth organizer Taya Gates said the incident and the broader carjacking surge could have been handled a million different ways before it got to this point, Gates said. Last summer, Gates and other West Side youth developed the Austin Safety Action Plan, a strategy for reducing violence by engaging at-risk youth and pouring resources, programs, and activities into a safe zone anchored by neighborhood schools, the Austin Branch Library, Austin Town Hall Park, and other local institutions. I can only wonder how underfunded all of them are in supporting this initiative.
And these are the things that need to be funded. Those are the things that the city should be going out of their way to focus on. Not giving more money to the police so you can hire more police to do the wrong type of policing. We know that if you have the types of support systems in place in neighborhoods and communities, that you're not going to need a giant army of cops to go and stop crime.
Yeah.
It's the crime will I can't say it'll be completely eliminated, but it will fairly disappear when you notice that people don't have reasons to be desperate and stupid anymore.
Which is exactly what someone in the article went on to say. The spike in recent years of young people carrying out carjackings demonstrates a hopelessness and lack of guidance, Gates said. Young people need help before it gets to this point. They feel like they need to do certain things. That's all they're seeing, and they think this is the only way to get where they want to be, Gates said. Troubled young people need more opportunities to build bonds with other people in the community and need positive activities that can divert them away from risky behavior, something the Austin Safety Action Plan accomplished by offering free intergenerational sports and activities. You know, this documentary that I'm editing for our local filmmaker, Valerie Goodlow, focuses specifically on this stuff. A lot of her outreach and advocacy to at-risk youth in the community, particularly women, but men as well, and families, has to do with the fact that parents in these horribly violent neighborhoods who've suffered the same kind of circumstances that their kids are now don't have the tools to properly know how to guide, support, and give and nurture these kids with the love that they need to stay away from the bad choices that they make because of the hopelessness of their situations in these communities that stem from the fact that everything we talk about. I'm going to go blue in the face, money, TIF funds, supporting what they're talking about here with the Austin Safety Action Plan. I think this is just going to be the recurring theme of our show, guys, screaming about proactive solutions, not reactive ones. Yes.
We need real leadership from the city. We need real initiative from people who actually give a damn about the people of Chicago. Why is it that I'm dreading to think that within the next few weeks, we're going to be covering a story very similar to this one as well? Again, it seems to be ongoing, and there's no solution to deal with the amount of lack of accountability towards the CPD, especially from this mayor and her administration. Now, Biden has already gave the green light to so many mayors all across America to, use your rest of your COVID relief funding for the police. Can't any of that be used for our communities, for our public schools, for our mental health facilities? Because the way things are going, let's look at this at a national level. We gave $40 billion to Ukraine, but yet the Senate in the same day withheld $48 billion for helping out small business owners, restaurants, and other small entrepreneurs. Isn't it interesting? We live in two different types of America, where we have money for the oligarchs, money to bail out the banks, money for war, and money for self-oppression here with what we're seeing with our police departments. Where's the accountability? Where's the justice? That's why I hope Mayor Lightfoot is not reelected. But then, hey, where are the other mayoral candidates? Why are they silent? Why aren't they speaking out?
You mean these?
Those two would be better compared to the other options we got.
You mean these mayoral candidates?
Oh, here we go. The clown car.
I feel like we need music behind this too.
I know. I just took it clean. But yeah, it's actually without the music, at least you can hear us talking. Yeah, Kit, I mean, as usual, you're spot on point. But another great transition from what Ed just said. Speaking of bad policing, how about this? A man imprisoned for 2 decades. Oh, hang on a second, guys. Hang on a second. Guys, I'm going to hold on. All right, we may have a guest joining the show. Just inquired if we were still on, so we'll see if that ends up happening. But until that possibly happens, our surprise guest appearance, as we were talking a moment ago, speaking about bad policing, man imprisoned for 2 decades after false murder confession, alleged police cover-up, in line for $14.5 million settlement from the city of Chicago. I wonder if any of the TIF funds or any of the COVID funds are going to go towards that. Stand by, guys.
I was digging the drum beat on that.
I know. Of course, we're going to get copyright struck for that because the people at YouTube have no sense of humor. I was running.
Actually, it might be the author of the music.
Yeah. Well, it's. I always claim fair use because it's transformative and it's not making any money, and it's being used in a commentary show. But yeah, I took us off because I thought I just want to kind of keep things cleaned up here for. All right. Well, let me continue with that story. Everybody, sorry, let me put that back up. So yeah. So as we were talking about a man wrongly in prison for 2 decades after false murder confession, alleged police cover up in line for $14.5 million settlement from the city of Chicago. This comes from Rosemary Sobol and John Byrne at the Chicago Tribune. Oh, wait a minute. Who have we got here?
Hey, everybody.
Mr. Jamal Green.
Hello. How are you guys?
Thanks for joining us tonight, Jamal.
No problem. Love to be on. How's it going?
Good.
What are we talking about?
Well, we had covered some of the stories that you had shared, some really great insight towards on Twitter. Specifically, the curfew implement or the attempts to implement a curfew at the Bean that's really not going to change anything. So long as there are no opportunities or diversions for the kids. But most notably, what we commented on earlier before you came in, and I also shared your tweet.
Yeah.
I know you've spent a lot of time going to City Hall, and I know that you've been trying so hard to get your youth center off the ground. Ed was mentioning earlier that it's really interesting that they suddenly had this app to roll out that's going to give opportunities for hundreds of jobs, which is still several thousand less opportunities than the kids in Chicago need. Right. And it's all electronic. The kids are just going to get on, and it's going to solve all the problems in the world. And I got to wonder how much of the development of this app that's suddenly being rolled out, may have been inspired by so much of what you propose when you go visit the mayor and are rebuffed. And I'm just curious to know, I guess everybody's curious to know, when you go in and present these amazing solutions, amazing possibilities, proactive solutions, what do you sense are the excuses for why they rebuff you and why they throw you out and then they decide they're going to arrest you because you decided in protest on a rooftop to get attention towards the fact that nobody's paying attention to these very intelligent solutions you're proposing that could have been implemented, should have started to be implemented from like her first month in office?
Yeah, I've been talking about these same issues since I was a teenager. There are videos. I was leading a peace march, my first peace march when I was 15 years old, talking about the same exact things. And they have so many videos of me talking about the same things year after year that my team says, we're just going to put a collage together and just show how you said the same things over 10 years. And, one of the things is that I've always brought forth solutions to the leaders in power. And Lori being one of them, she has implemented the first youth council in the city. That was my idea that I helped her implement. And she doesn't listen to them, but, she allows young people, 25 young people from around the city to sit on the council to listen to render reports on the different things that affect them in the city. And they're supposed to render them to the mayor's office. And the mayor's office is supposed to make good decisions on what to do. A lot of those young people have left the youth council, and it's a high turnover rate because the administration does not listen to those young people. A lot of the ideas that she is trying to now implement are ideas that we presented a long time ago. And it's just unfortunate that we continue to elect leaders who don't prioritize the best needs of the people and the best needs of our young people, the future. And the reality of the situation is that our society will be cursed if we continue to do these young people how we're doing them. They are our prize. Our young people are our future. They always say that, but somehow we continue to oppress them, prevent them from doing anything constructive, prevent them from having institutions that put them on give them pipelines to grow in get on the right path. We are doing a disservice to our young people each and every day. The city, the community, all around the board. And the reality of the situation is that must change, or we will continue to be cursed in this city. Our young people should believe that Chicago is youth-topia, where no matter what age, remember, pinpoint that I just said that, 'cause somebody gonna try to steal that. But no matter what age they are, we have the opportunity. They have the opportunities, the proper education, the proper support in those schools, in the community. When they get out of school and jobs and free public education, like every stage of their life, we should be breeding new tech innovators and the new people to lead us into a better future. But instead, we are breeding murderers, people who are hurt, people who have been left out, throwing them away, showing them that they're not nothing, banning them from schools, from their communities, and they get arrested, and banning them from Millennium Park, but not showing them where they can go and how they can get there. And that's just the unfortunate part of where our city has been, an unfortunate part of where our leadership is right here in the city. And my heart hurts.
Strikes me. It strikes me that it almost comes down to her waiting for other people to present solutions that she can ignore and then trot out when the crisis happens to make it look like she's doing something. Of less impact is the gas crisis. Willie gives out free gas. She's throwing out free gas cards.
$12.5 million.
Shooting at the bean. Suddenly they've got this application to roll out. It's interesting too, because we were going to move into another story regarding the fact that I think another way that they think they're going to solve this problem is, I guess hundreds have automatically been enrolled in military type education classes at CPS that were supposed to be voluntary. Watchdog fines. So great. Indoctrinate the kids early into ROTC so that they can basically think that their only opportunity might be to go into military training. No offense, Kit, because I know you're a veteran and I have a lot of respect for veterans. But when we talk about trying to provide opportunities and alternatives for kids, they're not rolling out the right ones that you propose or that they ignore and then they put on this app. And now it looks like they think maybe a solution is to get kids more focused on military.
Sound like they're trying to bust these kids out of the city is what it seems like to me. They want them to have a pipeline to go elsewhere, than to have a pipeline where they can build a family here. And that is what it's really about. How do you make it to where young people, when they grow up, that they want to stay here, that they want to raise kids here, that they want to pay taxes here? Unfortunately, what you see is a large demographic, just like all these young people y'all see downtown. When they get 18 and 19, and they go away to college, or they go off to another city, they're not coming back because all they can remember is that they were shut out at every stage of their life living in Chicago. And Chicago is like a dark cloud to them when they come in this city. And they can't go anywhere for fun. And they don't have anywhere to get the proper guidance. So if they go to another city, it's like a fresh start for them. And we lose so much great talent that way, which is why there's a decline in Illinois residents every year. And though that decline is hugely of Black people and Black young people. And so we must start to make sure that no matter what community you live in the city of Chicago, you have the opportunity, no matter what background, what income status, none of that should matter. Everyone should have the proper opportunity to go to a great school in their neighborhood, to go out in their neighborhood with thriving businesses, to go out in the neighborhood with a community center, get involved in programs, to go back on the weekends to those big buildings, the school buildings in your school in your neighborhood, and do activities on the weekend. So you have a place to go, to get out of school and have a pipeline to tech jobs that are $150,000 a year at these companies. Instead of sending everyone to college, you got people in tech, you got people in trade, you got all these different pipelines that we should have. Instead, we just want to lock kids up, and it's just terrible.
Well, we were talking earlier about more proactive solutions instead of reactive ones. She acts like punishing other kids that want to go to Millennium Park on the weekends by implementing this curfew is going to solve the problem. It might solve the problem. It's probably not going to, while ignoring the larger problem of the fact there's no investment in the neighborhoods where kids can do things in their neighborhoods, and everything you just said. Find the things to distract them. Find the safe things to do. Find the things to do within their community.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Kit and Ed, let me tell y'all something. If you always ignore the root problem,
yep,
and you continue to add enforcement, bans, law, all these, if you continue to do that, the problems only exacerbate. They only get worse.
Doesn't go away.
This is a decades-old problem, Jim. That's the thing we're seeing. It's like from mayor to mayor to mayor.
People look at this today and be like, I've never seen people get shot, mass shootings downtown every day. I've never seen that. They act like this is like wild that they see such a huge shift. It gets worse because the problems that should be tackled are not being tackled. So you are exacerbating the problem, and guess what? The problem is so big that it's going to spread everywhere. So everybody going to see it. No matter where you live, you think you cozy in your nice neighborhood, it's going to spill over into your neighborhood because we are not addressing the problems all across this city. So if they feel like, well, our neighborhood isn't safe, we don't have community, so we don't have nothing to do, let's go downtown. Let's go up north. Let's go somewhere that is they say is safer and congregate and have fun. And then what happens? The police come, and now they're fighting with police, and now they're fighting with each other, and now fights and shoot. These are the things that happen when you don't address the root cause of why this is going on. It's not rocket science, y'all. It's not.
It's not. It's a crisis that's grown exponentially because nobody's done anything to stave it off decades ago, generations ago, administrations ago.
What I'm saying is not. I mean, we're building a youth center, right? Now, I think it's the most revolutionary youth center that has ever been built. But these aren't somebody was talking about building a youth center 20 years ago and 30 years ago. None of these things that I'm talking about are things that are super new, just a more modern way and a modern understanding of how it needs to be done. But people have been saying these same things forever now, and we are still in the same situation so this is by design, people. We got to understand that this is by design. This ain't no new. Just like I said 10 years ago, I can show you a video when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. Every single age, all the way up to now. A new video of me either leading the peace march, either on TV, or either in the school talking to kids. I got videos of when I was every age of a teenager saying the same exact things. That young people need opportunities. That young people, we need investment in our communities. I've been saying the same thing since I was able to talk, and people would listen to me when I was young. And so I want y'all to understand that this is not new. These problems need to be implemented. But the problem is that we don't have the proper leadership that's not bought and paid for by the Ricketts. I just saw a letter that she wrote to the Ricketts family, because one of the Ricketts is the chair of her campaign. We got all these different special interests who control these politicians, but we don't have politicians that are putting people first. And that is the problem, because guess what? The people who should be the politicians look at politicians and be like, I don't want to get in that game. But we need those people, because those are the only people that's going to turn this around.
I want to share something. This comment from the chat, friend of the show, Nimesh Patel. Do you know what the police do? The police are a reactive intervention.
That's it.
The police react after an event occurred, but we need a proactive intervention.
There you go. Prevention and intervention.
Nimesh is in law enforcement. And here he is speaking on behalf of probably good people in law enforcement, echoing everything that we're saying here. That they're just not interested in implementing.
Hey, Jerry,
yeah.
Do you think that police officers want to go downtown, deal with hundreds of young people with nothing to do, acting crazy, spend their time? Do you think that police officers want to run around these neighborhoods, risking their lives, possibly getting in the gunfights or whatever? They say that they're scared in these neighborhoods. I mean, let's be real. The reality of the situation is that we need to stop pinning everybody against each other. Like they will say, if I hold a police officer accountable, oh, he's anti-police. No, you should be listening to what I'm saying, because if what I'm saying is implemented, then your job will be a little bit easier. All right. And we wouldn't need as many police because the communities would be way safer, and y'all wouldn't be trying to add 1,000 police officers every year. We have to make the community safer, help these build cultural foundation in these communities, bring resources that's needed. And guess what? You'll be sitting around eating donuts and writing tickets and not having a lot of work to do. Just like I went to Lincoln Park and I was shut down at Chase Bank a couple years ago. And, I looked at when they called the police on us, I had one police officer get out the car, no partner, no other police came, one police officer in the whole dang community. All right, guys. I mean, he's about 400 pounds, just sitting in his car, chilling, not much to do. It's Lincoln Park. I go outside and I show the video and I say, look at Lincoln Park. You got everybody running. You got the dogs. The dogs not even as angry in Lincoln Park as they are in these neighborhoods because they experiencing so much trauma in these neighborhoods. You got the dogs running and they running with their neighbors. Everybody's smiling and having a good time. The businesses are flourishing. There's no abandoned buildings. The kids are in activities. Everyone owns their home. I mean, life is great in Lincoln Park. And so they only got one police officer in Lincoln Park. So this helps everyone.
It also always seems so easy for people to blame parents and the families, not realizing if you're not providing the support to those families in these communities that are just absolutely devastated with hopelessness, as Nimesh also shares here. If we cannot have peace in our home, we can never have peace in our society. And that starts with supporting these families. This starts with providing the kind of community support, the kind of investment, the kind of programs, the kind of counseling, everything that families need to support their efforts, giving better opportunities to kids and hopefully guiding them in the right directions.
It really kills me when people, and I'll let you, Kit, I see you got something to say. It really kills me when people solely blame parents.
Yep.
I mean, let's be honest. The vast majority of parents who have children love their kids so much that they want the best for their children. Okay. There are a small group that might get caught up in drugs or might get caught up in whatever that would take them away from their kids. But the vast majority are parents who are probably on their own, who are trying to work these jobs that's not even paying them enough to even provide, but they're doing what they have to do to try to provide the best life for their kids, and them trying to make decisions. So they need that support, because without that support, what happened in that village, in those schools, and everything to help them is that they're on their own. And if they're on their own and they know that they're working all day and they working doubles and all this and that, just like my mom was. My mom been at the post office for 34 years. And she was working I used to have to be in the mail truck. I shouldn't say this. I might get her in trouble one day. And when I was a young boy, just many years ago, they can't prove it, but in the mail truck hiding behind the mail because my mom was working all day and I just got out of school and she didn't have nowhere else to take me. So I'll be in the mail truck hiding so they wouldn't catch me in the mail truck. Like, you got your kid in the mail truck. Like, these parents need support because they're trying to do the best they can. Right.
Well, people lose sight of that too, because we live in the most hyper segregated city in the country. When people in other neighborhoods are not seeing everything we're talking about, it's so easy to dismiss this stuff and not realize how really hopeless it is for these parents in these other neighborhoods where these kids don't have a chance, don't have the opportunity, don't have, they gravitate toward, if you don't have education, if you don't have jobs, if you don't have opportunities or other distractions, as we're talking about training them for jobs, things that they might be interested in.
Yeah.
And they've got no other way to figure out how am I going to buy food, support myself. Crime comes from desperation. It's not a big choice.
Guess what, Jerry?
And that's all they know. That's what they know, because unfortunately a generation before them has had to suffer through the same kind of crisis. And people they do it because it's easier, they're lazy, they're this, that, whatever, wherever. It's like, no, it's bullshit. Take yourself out of your neighborhood, look at what else is going on in other neighborhoods across the city to understand people are so insulated in their neighborhoods. because we're so segregated and they don't realize what's going on in other neighborhoods. That's why they come to these horrible, conclusions or assumptions. I'm sorry, Kit, I've been talking.
Yeah,
No,
real quick. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I when you said that, you said people don't understand the desperation of the day-to-day stuff, right? The having to eat, they don't understand the ground level stuff. But let me even take it even further. What it is in these what the conditions in these neighborhoods, what they're breeding is they are breeding people who not only are desperate for what their day-to-day basic life, what should be the basic quality of life things, but what that does is that prevents them from living out their true potential. And so all of these kids who grow up in poverty, who every day they're trying to figure out how to eat, they're not thinking, I want to build an electric car. They're not thinking, I want to build an Amazon. They're not thinking big, and they don't have those opportunities to be able to say, I want to build a new app, because their mind is so insulated into where they are. And every single day on how I'm going to take care of my family, how I'm going to help my mom out, how I'm going to eat, how we don't even have a home. We're homeless. These are the real life things that they're going on that takes away the real potential of what can be our next generation of innovators. But we're ruining them because they are forced to live with the conditions where they don't have the basic quality of life that everyone should have. Kit?
So there's a couple other factors that are not covered by the media. Let's look at the fact of what's happening on the South and West Side neighborhoods. We've talked about this. Lead in our drinking water, but yet the city of Chicago, especially this mayor, is all on board with promoting Chicago, which is tremendous upon itself because we don't have clean drinking water. Number two, we have industrial facilities that are polluting the air, water, soil, and communities that are on the South and West Side neighborhoods. How many health issues are rising up amongst young people and senior citizens and infants, especially those that live in these areas who lack green spaces? And then let's look at the most insidious and most vile thing that's happening in the South and West Side neighborhoods, and that is gentrification, where you have these large real estate developers coming in, closing down Chicago public schools, schools that could be turned into community centers, like what you're trying to do, Jamal. Schools that, again, when they're shut down, that's ripping up the heart of the community and ending it.
And don't forget about food deserts. Don't forget about food deserts.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up too.
All of that. Think about how people can, how can these people think, and they don't even have fresh food in their neighborhood,
nor a vehicle to go to another neighborhood to go to a grocery store.
You even go to a grocery store. Lead in the water. You don't know what effects that has on the brain. These are key things. And then you're also dealing with the regular quality of life things outside of things that are affecting you that you might not even understand.
Oh, Kathy Powers in the live chat has a very good point. That's okay. She's shutting off the water for people who can't pay. They're safe from lead since they didn't pass this proposal that was brought out to be able to protect people from having their water shut off if they're behind on their bills because of all the other issues that they're dealing with.
Right.
Agreed.
It's terrible, people. But this is our administration, and we got another year of this. And it's just unfortunate. It is really past time for people to get a fair shake in the city, all over this city. And I think, the bad part about it is that it's spilling over into these other neighborhoods. But the upside to that is that those people in those other neighborhoods, they now agree and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And now we have a way to bring everybody together to say, hey, we understand what's going on in everyone's neighborhoods in this city. So we all have to work together on this. Let's stop this isolation. I'm in this one neighborhood, so I don't care about it. I just watch it on the news. Everybody has a role to play here in holding and electing new leaders and holding accountable leadership. We are in a situation where only 16% of people vote in city primaries. We all have a part to play here. And I think in this next year is going to be a revolution of folks all over this city that say enough is enough. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Jamal, I have to admit, I haven't kept up to date with what's happening with your youth center initiative. I know that a lot of it was focused on getting that abandoned school property. What are there other potential sites that you're able to base it in, or are you still trying to work out issues of potentially getting that site?
So we're still working on that site. We actually got a letter from the Black Caucus, the Speaker of the House, the governor is going to be coming in to support it soon. So
you met with Pritzker last week. It looked, I think.
Say that again. Yeah, I was. Yeah. We ain't got.
So that looks like it was. It looks like it was a good meeting you had with him.
Yeah. Well, it's election season. Listen, y'all know what this is. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Listen. Yeah. But the reality of the situation is, we are pushing on. We got the legislators, we got the Speaker of the House letter of support, and then now we're gonna come with the governor. And then if we have to take the building away from the city and bring it to the state, they're willing to do that. So we're going to continue pushing on this site, because this site is a site that's been abandoned about 10 years now. And it's deserving of this facility, and people are ready for it. But the reality of the situation is that if it doesn't happen over these next 12 months, well, we won't have the same mayor to fight with next year. And so we got two upsides here. Either it happened beforehand, or it's definitely going to happen after a new mayor is elected.
She's not happy. So are there any so share with people also, it seems that your My Turn to Own initiative has been very, very successful with helping first-time buyers get into homes. You want to share a little bit of your progress with that initiative?
Yeah, I heard Kathy talk about folks who are unhoused, and we have, I've done a lot of work in every area of housing. One of our main focuses now is on My Turn to Own is to help shift renters into homeowners so that they can have a place to stay, so they can't get pushed out, so that they can have a lower payment than they are paying rent. Usually when we move folks to a mortgage, they're paying half of what they were paying in rent. And we do micro loans, $5,000 and up. So we can do a 30-year loan or $50,000 home, and you'd be paying $200 a month. So we're helping folks become homeowners in the city, so we can increase the home ownership rate. We have 1,800 people in the pipeline to become homeowners over this year, and so we are pushing them through. And we're helping folks all throughout these communities have a place where they can build generational wealth, have a place where they can stay and not be gentrified, teaching them, educating them on real estate and these developers, and how to become homeowners, and how to just sustain themselves and sustain the community, be active in the community and stakeholders in the community. This is a part of decreasing violence. And if we don't, housing is one of the biggest pieces. Everyone in this city should have a home. And that is a basic need, right? That is a basic need for everyone should.
A basic right.
A basic right. There you go. Basic right.
This isn't about you've earned. Yeah, okay. I'm all for people earning things and people working hard, but you can't. But no, there's no reason. Not everybody. There's no reason people should not have a roof over their heads. Whatever the size, whatever their income status is. I drive downtown. I see people sleeping in tents under bridges, under overpasses. It's obscene.
Yep.
It's utterly obscene. And that's also a result of the breakdown of the mental health support, or the mental health system in the city.
Yep.
But for those who want to check it out more, go to myturntown.org. I was privileged to attend an event that you had presented. I think it was late last fall. It may have been. And we also did a video.
1,800 people in the program since then. So it's wildly successful.
After the show, people can check out on our Chicago Corner page. There's a link to Jamal's presentation seminar for My Turn to Own. I think it's in the special field segment section. I think it's worth everybody checking out. And even if it doesn't apply to you, share it with people that might need a hand up.
We are continuing to create new products to help folks in these neighborhoods figure out different loopholes to help them become homeowners, and expanding this to even folks that are homeless. We have so many different things. We are tied to now mental health counselors now that we work with. for folks who, because we got a lot of folks in these neighborhoods, as you know, who have mental health problems. So we literally had to talk someone dang near off of a ledge, one of our clients before, who literally came to the office and was about to commit suicide. And we were able to partner her with counseling and get her the support that she needs. So, I mean, it's just so many different problems, right? It's not the one thing. It has to be comprehensive. And unfortunately, I don't have all the resources to do it alone, but I'm doing my part and helping other folks do their part and partnering with organizations in all these different fields so that we can all work together.
I wish I had the brains and the resources to do as much as you do. I've told you this before. I admire and salute everything that you do.
But you guys are doing it, controlling the narrative and making sure the message is
yeah, sharing the narrative, letting people know what good people like you are out there doing, along with a lot of other activists.
So everybody not listening to Tucker Carlson every day. You got to get real.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers before I don't want to keep you on too long. I know it's Friday night, but is there anything else?
Yeah, no.
You want to share?
I definitely appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate your work, continuing to share the message. And I think it's only going to get into the minds of all Chicagoans of the direction that the city should be going in. And I'm just excited that we're going to be doing a lot of big things this year. And it is time to bring forth that revolution. And I'm looking forward to doing it with all of you.
We're all looking forward to it. We're a little channel. We're growing, but I think we've got good viewership and people spread the word here on what they see. It's especially helpful when you're able to join us and share what's going on. People know you. People respect you. It adds some credibility and legitimacy to everything that we're sharing here. So, dude, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I know it was kind of last minute. When I saw your tweets, I'm like, once again, he's got the smart solutions in response to some of the stories we were reporting on, and I figured it would be great to have you on as well as just sharing your tweets. So,
and what's crazy is I'm not a politician, okay? I am a person who have experienced all of these things, so I'm literally just speaking from my heart.
Yeah.
And these are the type of people that should be leading in all these areas around this country. Is we need people who really care about the issues, really who have experienced them and understands, no, that won't work. No, this will work. No one, not the politicians who's like, oh, I'm just going to do this so that I can look good, or I'm just going to do this so I can and please my donors. We need real people that are with real life experiences to lead our cities and country forward. And so when I speak, I'm literally just speaking, not politically. I'm speaking because I know I mentor you.
You're in the trenches. You're there.
I'm here.
That's what makes your message so more important to listen to, that people have got to pay attention to what's going on. As I said earlier, outside their communities, outside the insulation of where they are, since things are so segregated and people only see what they see on the news and don't realize it's not circumstances, situations are not the same as where they live, which is what just pits everybody against each other.
They need to just give us a news channel. Let's figure out how we can buy a news channel so that we can give them.
We got it here.
And we also have our new show on CAN TV as well.
We got the CAN TV show that I don't know when. I mean, I don't know if you're scheduled to join Kit next Tuesday. If not,
I believe it hit my schedule. We'll be looking at it very soon and confirming.
Okay.
But definitely, I need to figure out how to buy channel 13 or something so we can get on TV and show
with
the real news.
With the CAN TV show we've got here for Chicago Corner, we're broadcasting now once a week. It's going to be reaching a much broader viewership to hopefully also guide people to the YouTube channel. So look, and I've said this to you before when it comes to the YouTube show here, but anytime you want to come on to the wider viewership on CAN TV, just let Kit or I know. Say, hey, I got something I want to talk about. We're excited to. I was looking forward to interviewing you this Tuesday, but I'm stuck home with COVID right now, and I got to stay in for 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So I'll be the one
to cover it, or whenever it's scheduled that you guys are going to do it. But you're going to have that wider audience of eyes, so that they can continue to also find you here on YouTube and also spread what you're doing around the rest of the city, because that's what Hard Lens Media is all about. That's what the Chicago Corner CAN TV show is all about. It's about trying to get more eyes here in Chicago focused on the stuff they're not hearing about on their local news stations.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. Look forward to playing a part with you guys in all of the shows going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks
all.
for joining us, Jamal.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Have a good night. How about that?
What a great show.
Jamal Green.
It's nice when you can get him to come on.
Yeah, well, it was kind of last minute, and it was when I saw his tweets that were related to the stories I wanted to talk about. I'm like, I'm just gonna reach out and see if he can join us. And we were hoping he could join us in the top of the show, but it was so last minute. I'm so grateful he was able to join us even at the tail end here, because we were able to cover other subjects, not just the ones we talked about that were related to his tweets. And more people need to know what he's doing and focus on his on the ground work in these parts of the city that people are just not conscious of what's going on there.
I should have brought up an idea for a new pledge, which is based on the infrastructure and road issues in the city of Chicago. That we should talk about having everyone make sure that every candidate running for mayor takes the pledge to protect the roads and infrastructure from east to west and north to south in the entire city, which means repairing every pothole, which means making sure you have people staying on top of that. You could call it the anti-pothole pledge, or we could come up with some fancy name for it. And then we can ask each candidate, do you stand by the pledge to make sure that there will be no more pothole problem in the city of Chicago?
That assumes that Jamal's going to run for mayor.
Well, yeah, and
I'm not saying that he has to necessarily be one to respond to that question, but maybe he can go on other shows and also pass on the pledge. And then he can bring it to other places, and it'll become a thing where people are you going to take the pothole pledge? Because if you aren't, we're not voting for you. You're going to fix the potholes, or you're not going to be mayor.
I propose that in our Chicago Corner Slack, we create a new folder where we can all share our ideas that we want to share with candidates and other movers and shakers, so that we don't lose track of this particular pledge that you're talking about, and we can compile things and bring it to present it to anybody that we have on the show.
Oh, I see Miguel H is in the chat there. I hope he's coming along with that puzzle project.
Dominic,
Miguel H, you're lucky I'm not having you do New York State. There you go.
Dominic from independentvoterparty.org, he has a different pledge in mind. And as we talk about candidate pledges, I do want to share that Dominic has laid a lot of the groundwork, originally over at TrueDemocracyNow.org and now at IndependentVoterParty.org, where he puts forth a lot of pledges that we need to put in front of our candidates with exactly the same kind of demands. Ed, are you going to do this? If not, we're not going to vote for you. If you say you're going to do it and we have you on record saying you're going to do it and you don't do it, we're going to remind you and make sure people know that you're a liar, so that you don't have an opportunity to bamboozle people again. So let me get back into the story that we had to kind of sideline, because it is an important story I do want to get through. And this has to do with the gentleman who was where is the story here from the Chicago Tribune? Oh God, my page is acting up again. Let's see if okay. The man who was wrongly imprisoned after false murder confession, alleged police cover-up in line for $14.5 million settlement from the city of Chicago. So here's what ended up happening. A man who spent 2 decades behind bars for a 1992 double murder that happened while he was in police custody is in line for a $14.25 million settlement from the city of Chicago. The deal for Daniel Taylor was one of 2 taxpayer-funded settlements. That's why we don't have money to go into these neighborhoods. We're paying off all the police, all of the unaccountability of these transgressions by the bad cops.
No, we still have the money.
I know we do, Ed, but I mean, okay, yeah, we do, but this is where the money should go. That's
Chester.com.
that money should go also. The deal for Daniel Taylor was one of 2 taxpayer-funded settlements involving alleged police misconduct approved by the City Council Finance Committee on Thursday. All right, give me a second here, guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting some resistance from my browsers. Alderman also advanced a $1.9 million settlement for the family of Jose Nieves, who was fatally shot by an off-duty Chicago police officer, Lowell Hauser, during a 2017 argument on the Northwest Side. Hauser was convicted of second-degree murder in the case. The full city council is set to consider the proposed settlements Wednesday. While Chicago taxpayers will be footing huge bills if the combined $16.15 million for Taylor and the Nieves families go through next week as expected, they are far from the biggest recent payouts in Chicago police misconduct cases. Federal jury last October awarded $25.2 million to Eddie Bolden, who spent nearly 23 years behind bars in a 1994 double homicide in Woodlawn. Bolden said detectives framed him and set up a sham lineup, even though witnesses said he was playing a video game at a restaurant on Cottage Grove Avenue at the time the shooting took place. Our jury awarded Thaddeus Jimenez $25 million in a wrongful conviction case in 2012, and several huge settlements have resulted from lawsuits involving the conduct of notorious retired detective Reynaldo Guevara. 2 men shared a $20.5 million settlement last year after alleging Guevara framed them for a 1993 murder. I mean, this article just goes on and on and on. Let me get to the points, though, about the Taylor settlement. City Attorney Jessica Felker on Thursday called the Taylor settlement a quote-unquote cost-effective measure to limit the city's exposure at trial. Felker noted 2 other co-defendants in the case who had spent less time behind bars than Taylor settled lawsuits against the city for $5.25 million each. And a third co-defendant went to trial and eventually got $17 million for the city. Here's an idea. How about you train your cops to not frame innocent people? How about you get rid of these rotten cops? And I can't imagine that these cops who framed these particular innocent Chicagoans probably didn't have some kind of record in their jackets regarding, I don't know, let's say other misconduct or other malfeasance on the job. This is just ludicrous. And look at how often it happens. There isn't a presumption of innocence. It's a presumption of, in the face of everything in front of you, we just need to keep that revolving door going, throwing people in jail, making sure our stats look good because we're putting more people in jail, and acting like they've solved the crimes. They're holding people accountable for crimes that they don't commit. Kit, thoughts?
Well, all right. Once again, what's the settlement again? $14.5 million settlement for the city of Chicago. All right. I say this. Since every avenue of approach has been used in regards towards trying to maybe better the situation by maybe training cops to be better, it's quite clearly not working. So let's dip into the police retirement funds. Have them pay.
Yes. We've talked about this. This was a cover-up.
By insurance.
Yeah. Or make them buy insurance like doctors and lawyers and other professionals. A Chicago Tribune probe that began in 2001, prompted by a letter from Taylor, this was a cover-up from the very beginning, raised questions. How does the police department not look at this stuff and say, oh, yeah, he's guilty. They're seeing all this stuff I'm about to share with you, and it didn't raise any eyebrows as far as the fact that this guy was innocent. A Chicago Tribune probe that began in 2001, prompted by a letter from Taylor, raised questions about the case, even though police said the 8 had admitted to taking part in the crime. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office then began investigating the convictions. At the center of the case was Taylor, who was exonerated and released from prison in 2013 after attorneys from the Center on Wrongful Convictions at Northwestern Pritzker School of Law, Judy Royale and the late Karen Daniel, took up his cause. Records showed he had been arrested for causing a disturbance about 2 hours before the shootings, taken to the Old Town Police Station at Halsted and Addison Streets, and released more than an hour after the crime was committed. The record showed that.
I mean,
A petition filed by Taylor's attorneys cited police reports that showed Taylor was locked up for disorderly conduct at 6:45 p.m. on the night of the murders. A bond slip showed he was not released from the town hall lockup until 10 p.m. The murders, according to police, occurred at 8:43 p.m. But in a 2003 letter to the Tribune, then Cook County State's Attorney Dick Devine noted Taylor signed a highly detailed 25-page court-reported confession in which he accurately described the building and the apartment where the murder took place, the method of the murder, where the two victims were shot, and how one of the victims was placed on a sofa after she was shot. It was a false murder confession. Devine said that the confession corroborated the evidence from the murder scene and that Taylor divulged the details within 3 hours of arrest for the killings in December of 1992. Taylor sued the city of Chicago and 8 police detectives and officers for their role in his arrest and conviction. In his lawsuit, Taylor alleges detectives obtained his confession by beating him and promising to release him. There he is. It's the Chicago way. Once they learned he had been and it shouldn't be, as much as we love that expression, it's once they learned he had been in custody, according to the lawsuit, they set about manufacturing evidence to undermine Taylor's claims that he was in custody. As part of the alleged cover-up, officers filed a report saying they saw Taylor on the street around the time of the slang. They're just making shit up, pulling it out of their asses. 2 decades in jail, guys. They also failed to tell his attorney they had corroborated his alibi when they interviewed another man in the lockup who remembered Taylor being there, the lawsuit alleges. Convicted along with Taylor were Paul Phillips, Deion Patrick, Lewis Gardner, and Dennis Mixon. Taylor, Mixon, and Patrick were sentenced to life in prison, and Phillips and Gardner were serving 30-year terms. Charges against 2 of the 3 others were dropped or thrown out, and the third was acquitted. Ed, let's add this to the pledge list. Insurance for police officers, or these settlements are coming out of police pensions. We have to present that to people we're talking to also.
Yeah, I think both, actually.
Both, yeah. Put it on the list. I'm serious. Let's start this list in the Slack of stuff we want to present to candidates, because this is just bullshit.
Let's start writing some stuff down here.
Agreed.
Okay. Potholes.
Potholes. Police paying for
police. What is it called? Misconduct insurance.
Yes. It's a Chicago corner laundry list we're going to be putting together.
Okay. I guess we could ending qualified immunity. I would add on there.
Yeah.
I know some people may have an issue with that. I don't know why.
No, there shouldn't be any issue with that. All right, there are 2 more stories. I'm going to try to rush through because I don't want to keep you guys too long. They're interesting stories. Of course, we went long because we had great special guest appearance by Jamal Green. Mm-hmm. But this is something that I mentioned while we were talking to Jamal, as far as the opportunities that I think the city wants to direct kids towards. And Kit, you can weigh in on this also as a veteran. I'm not saying that ROTC training is bad. I'm not saying that getting kids involved in a military type education is a bad thing, but these are supposed to be voluntary. And according to the Chicago Sun-Times, hundreds of students were automatically enrolled in military type education classes at CPS that were supposed to be voluntary, a watchdog finds. The enrollment reached 100% of freshmen at 4 Chicago public schools during the last 2 years, according to the report from the CPS Inspector General. Now, for 2 years in a row, 4 of the 37 CPS with Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, Junior ROTC programs, enrolled 100% of their freshmen in the classes, even though the students weren't required to take them, according to the report released Tuesday from the district's Office of the Inspector General. Another 4 schools enrolled between 91 and 99% of freshmen, the report states. The findings, released Wednesday, were prompted by a June 2021 Chalk Beach Chicago report, which detailed how automatic enrollment occurred at smaller high schools on the city's south and west sides and served, what do you think, mostly low-income students. Kids that don't have opportunities or jobs or opportunities to go to higher education. The military is usually often an opportunity that many of them see, but I just see that when it's directed mostly towards low-income districts, It's like the mayor deciding she's going to put the youth center on the campus of the Chicago Police and Fire Departments. It's an active recruiting base. That's all that they see the future for these kids should be. Students had to actively remove themselves from the classes, a process that wasn't well publicized or easy to do. At some CPS high schools, junior ROTC enrollment often operated like a pre-checked box. Students were automatically placed in junior ROTC, and they had to get themselves removed from it if they did not want it, a summary of the report said. Sometimes this was possible, sometimes it was not. Some opt-out procedures were never explained or not easily achieved when attempted. When asked about their junior ROTC enrollment, excuse me,
Right.
yeah, I have more talking tonight than the past 3 days. Some school principals spoke highly of the program, according to the report. Among other things, they liked its emphasis on leadership building skills. Okay, agreed. Its scholarship opportunities, agreed. And the junior ROTC field trips it offered underexposed students, the report stated. The principal said they relied on junior ROTC enrollment for a variety of reasons, including a lack of funding to keep physical education teachers and a shortage of candidates for open positions, the report found.
Yeah, but none of this is an excuse for forcing kids to do this without even telling their parents first.
You know, I just want to add in something here too. Look, military, you know, especially with the military aspect, I would say don't automatically enroll young people into it, because it is a lifestyle and a choice that is not an easy one to make. And let's be very clear here. When you sign that dotted line, you belong to the federal government. All right? And you are in service for 4 years. The rest of the world is going to move on without you. You are in a time capsule, and the rest of the world will move on. Now, that's not saying you won't have contact with the outside world. I'm not saying that. But you are beholden to the federal government for 4 years of service. And let's face it, the rules are very strict. It's very tough. There's a lot of freedom of choice. Like, take, for example, no smoking cannabis. You know, you cannot challenge authority, you know, because it's a rigid system. It is a different type of lifestyle. And by automatically enrolling young people into military type education, it's going to backfire. It's not a smart choice, because you're putting people into a situation that they didn't choose themselves.
Well, here's an interesting point that the article goes on to share. Some principals said the ROTC classes saved schools money because CPS and the U.S. Department of Defense split the cost, according to the report. So you got the U.S. Department of Defense invested in this. As a result of the findings, the Inspector General issued 10 recommendations, most of which CPS supports. According to the report, they include, among other things, creating a universal CPS junior ROTC parent consent form. I think that's smart. And requiring a standard physical education option in neighborhood junior ROTC program schools. CPS responded to the report in a statement issued Wednesday, saying it was implementing new procedures and updating pay for instructors. While some improvements were already underway, some will be implemented this fall. The district takes all findings of the Office of Inspector General seriously, except the ones that the mayor doesn't take seriously, and replied to the Inspector General on April 20th, adopting all recommendations. CPS already updated policies related to our ROTC program they're doing. But the other story that I found, I think you guys may have reported on this Tuesday, and there are new developments of the story. The absurdity of Chicago. It just makes me laugh. We have lead in our drinking water, and the mayor decides it's a good idea and good optics to brand Chicago water in a can, while the can has got all kinds of warnings on it. They filtered the Chicago canned water that they're promoting as being like representative of the great drinking water in the city of Chicago, more than they're filtering the water that's actually coming into the homes of Chicagoans. So this comes from, and I know Kit's going to have a lot to say here when I get through some of the specifics here, but this comes from nrdc.org. We have no more time to waste on Chicago. We can't afford to wait another generation to address Chicago's lead pipe problem. Chicago's eyebrow-raising canned drinking water initiative is still growing strong as the city handed out free cans of Chicago tap water downtown last week to promote our safe water. After getting my can, I read the fine print, which notes that the water is put through a rigorous 10-step purification process and gives the advice to choose tap water. Stop, you're going to make me choke. And gives the advice to choose tap water whenever possible. What the fine print fails to mention is that the lead can leach into drinking water after the purification process when the water travels through one of the city's hundreds of thousands of lead pipes before reaching people's homes. Let's go to the video. And the video says the following media includes potentially sensitive content. So,
Chicago. Hey, let's get Barack Obama to do a stunt.
Chicago. What a freaking joke. Oh, wait. Does this have the video here? There was
I got a
tweet.
can of water.
I need a can of water here. So Chicago's mayor, this came from Steph Funk. What? Oh, gosh, what happened here? Hang on a second, guys. Browser issues. Come on, reload Twitter. All right, let me see if I can play the video while I'll go back to the tweet in a moment.
Hey, my name is Gina. Here at the Water Tower place, just got my can of Chicago, and I noticed in the warning label that there was some concerning advice that the city gave. So they said that the water in the can is put through a rigorous 10-step purification process, and our tap water is obviously not put through that rigorous of a filtration process. And they also give the advice to choose tap water whenever possible. And that isn't sound advice, because we know we have the most lead service lines in the country here in Chicago. And so it really should say choose filtered tap water whenever possible, because no amount of lead is safe for your children to be drinking or for yourself. And so Chicago, get your act together. Make sure that you're not putting out wrong advice to people with these Chicago cans, because we need to have these lead service lines replaced. We need to have filters on our water.
How can they get away with this without the truth in advertising that's required? These cans should say fortified with lead, shouldn't they?
And again, Lightfoot and her administration are selling it. They're selling the lead.
I've got that tweet ready if you want me to bring it up, Jerry.
Yeah, it's just so pandering. It's just such a pandering effort on. Let's brand Chicago's water here and figure out how we can, like, they're basically covering up the fact we've got a problem here by acting like look, I drink water out of my tap all the time. I'm up on the north side. I know there's lead in the water. I've been to other cities where the water doesn't taste as good, but we know that the lead's in the water here. But it's just such a cynical effort on the part of the city to do this. There we go. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, because my browser was giving me problems. So it says, so Chicago's mayor, what you're saying is we do have the money to brand and market Chicago's tap water so it can be sold back to people in cans, but we don't have the money to ensure it comes lead-free out of people's faucets. Dude, we are living in RoboCop Detroit. We are living in, what are some of the other dystopian movies that have finally come to life?
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Blade Runner, RoboCop. I could also argue saying Alien, like the first two Alien franchises.
Yeah, with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation.
Yeah.
We're getting closer to demolition, man. We're not quite there yet.
Not
We're waiting
quite.
on the,
Well, we are with
restaurant franchise wars.
Yeah, not yet, but with all of the identity politics and woke politics, I think that's kind of a harbinger of what we're looking at there. Plus, with on a national news front, the possible repeal of Roe v. Wade, it's suddenly we're going into the Handmaid's Tale as well. What are we going to do?
I had such hope for the future when I was a young man.
You and me both, Kit.
Where are my hover bikes?
You're right.
After the restaurant franchise wars, now every restaurant is Portillo's.
Oh, that's not what happened. Taco Bell won the day. Hey, please join me at the fancy restaurant.
I'm changing the script, Mr. Cabello. We're in Chicago.
By the way, I just want to add into everyone watching, this mayor is promoting Chicago, clean drinking water, right? There's lead in it. A major metropolitan city. We still have lead in our drinking water. Well done, Lightfoot. Well done.
Chicago, the new Flint, and Benton Harbor. Thank you, Kathy Powers. Chon water, leprechaun water. Are the cans made of lead? I wonder if they're made of the same metal that the bean is made out of, fortified with minerals from the bean.
Did somebody say the bean?
The bean. Oh, I'm starting to.
I mean, we had done that promotion, so long ago. And what was it, like 3 days or something like that, Jerry? We've already moved on to the next promotion, which of course we had to actually put on hold because of that whole thing that happened at Millennium Park. But our Triple Bean Casino will now have a Triple Bean coffee shop with the Triple Bean Espresso Roast. And, we're going to have to put a hold on those Triple Bean Espresso shots because I have put a curfew on the use of the word shot in anything within a half-mile radius of Millennium Park. But when that's over, oh boy, are we going to have some promotions, Jerry.
Ed's Photoshop skills are second to none. And to make Kathy happy, there you go. All right, so here was the last story. I can cover it really briefly because I actually think that this is important. How many of us have run around the city and we don't have any specific destination, but we really, really got to go? And you go into an establishment and they won't let you use their restroom because you're not a patron, which to some degree I feel like it's just such an assault on your dignity that people can't let you use their restroom. I've often thought I wouldn't hold it against people to just decide, fine, you're not going to let me use your restroom. I'll just drop trow and do it right here in front of your counter. I know that's kind of crude, but it does speak to, as Kathy said in the chat earlier, just taking care of each other, being good to each other. Is it really that difficult for any business establishment across the city if somebody comes in and needs to use the restroom and obviously needs to use the restroom that they turn them away? It's bullshit. I
think it's rude. It's shocking. And you know what the thing is? When I was in Japan, especially near all the subway areas, there were clean restrooms to use. All across there, the public restrooms for people to use.
Oh, Japan's infrastructure in general is miles ahead of anything we have in the States.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing. It should be embarrassing to every politician in America that we don't have the infrastructure and the healthcare system and all the social safety nets that they have in Japan. We're supposed to be the best country in the world, and we still deny our citizens healthcare and all these other amenities that other civilized, progressive nations have no problem implementing. So here's what the Alder people are doing, and I give them credit for this. They are fighting for public restrooms, a public restroom pilot. This is something that benefits everybody. Last year, the Chicago Tribune found that fewer than 500 structures in the city contained free public restrooms with few or no barriers to entry, such as security checkpoints or client-only access. So Alder people are sharing more details of what a public restroom pilot program could look like in Chicago. Introduced last year by Aldermans Daniel Espada and Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez, the initiative aims to develop a program that would provide free, easily accessible restrooms for people across Chicago. That would include unhoused individuals who don't have easy access to clean, reliable bathrooms, but also anyone who has to go. I'm just reminded of I actually saw a video on social media where someone took a smartphone camera of a woman. I think she was in a Popeyes, and they wouldn't let her use the restroom. Somebody go look for it. There's a video. She just squatted right in front of the Popeyes counter and just let it go on the floor.
Everybody needs a hobby.
If I wasn't worried about getting censored here, I would pop that video on with Mosaic. But anyway, that's what just reminded me of. But also anyone who has to go. A Tribune story last year found that fewer than 500 structures in the city contain free public restrooms with fewer no barriers to entry, such as security checkpoints or client-only access. Older people discussed what the pilot program could look like in a subject matter hearing Monday, looking at how other cities operate public restrooms and challenges unique to Chicago. This is a basic human need. It's something that everybody needs. Yes, we have people that have a higher need because people are unhoused or because people have particular conditions, but this is something that benefits everybody, that makes our public spaces more humane, and something that I think we need to adopt, Rodriguez Sanchez said. Yeah, it's a good start. How about after that, housing for everybody? One potential partner for the city could be a company called the Portland Blue, which designs and manufactures freestanding public restrooms across the country. Yes, they are two terrific alders. Each single-use restroom made by the company can be customized to meet the needs of the surrounding environment. The city of Chicago would ultimately decide the best locations for the restrooms. Laspada said he's had preliminary conversations with the Department of Water Management about where they could possibly attach to the city's sewer and water lines. The restroom really works in a lot of different applications. What's most common is on city streets or the corners of parks, just to kind of put them in right of ways where people have to pass and engage with the restroom, even when they're not looking to seek it out themselves, Madden said. If you kind of set it in a way that it's a kind of open in front of everyone's view, then people don't feel encouraged to do things they shouldn't in the restroom as well, too. Company's restrooms can also include an anti-graffiti coating, changing tables, and other customizations, like what the company calls its cold weather toilet upgrade, which allows them to operate in up to less than 20-degree Fahrenheit weather. Alderman Roderick Sawyer agreed there's a serious need for more public restrooms around the city, particularly for public transit drivers and employees. I've had conversations with CTA employees who have a particular problem when they're on their bus lines, not having access to adequate facilities. And I'll be honest with you, particularly women bus drivers, especially not having access. So I think this is something that we should be looking at. Laspada said the pilot program could possibly be paid for with money from the Chicago Recovery Plan, which is partially funded by federal COVID relief dollars. He also mentioned a possible private-public partnership that would seek grants and other funding. It would start small. Other cities have started out with 3 to 5 restrooms, which is what he would encourage for Chicago. I think we need more than 3 to 5. He says, let's be modest in this. Let's really survey and understand how it functions in Chicago before we spread out much further than that, but that feels doable. So that's some good news to end the show with. The alderman actually doing something useful to benefit everybody across the city. I also have something I want to add, something of benefit that they could do. Because Mayor Lightfoot went on social media the other day. There was an initiative that they were talking about with the Office for People with Disabilities, making things more accessible across the city and blah, blah, blah. I paid to have as you all know, hate to beat a dead horse here, but I'm disabled. I have a handicapped parking placard, and I requested a disabled spot in my neighborhood in front of my apartment here. So I don't have to walk blocks if I'm having a problem with parking here, and paid, I forgot what it was, $150 last year. As of yesterday, that spot had not been installed. When the mayor was live streaming with the, I don't know if there was anything that had to do with suddenly the spot appearing today, but I'm glad that they put the disabled spot in for me since I do have a handicap placard, but more so, do you know years ago, it used to be that if you were disabled and you had a handicap placard and had difficulty parking because you needed to get close to somewhere, you would be able to park at a meter and not have to pay the meter. Well, people got pissed off about that, and Rahm Emanuel put through a stipulation that people with disabled parking placards still have to pay the meters unless you have a yellow placard, which indicates you're so disabled you really shouldn't even be driving, right? Mm. But the yellow placards, I have a yellow placard because my doctor quite smartly said, when it's in the winter and you don't have your leg on and you're on your crutches, are you able to get to the parking meter when the sidewalks aren't plowed or it's all icy? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, then you merit a yellow placard. Okay, great. So I have the yellow placard. I don't have to pay the meters. No disabled person should have to pay the meters when there's such a lack of parking across the city. And to the point also of what the mayor's office for citizens with disabilities should be doing, they should designate, if they're not going to let disabled people park at meters without having to pay the meter, They should designate a disabled parking spot on every block in the city, period. If you've got the handicap placard, if you've got the handicap plates, you obviously have accessibility issues that are going to make it harder for you to travel long distances from where you're parking to get where you need to go. So when she was there pandering about all this accessibility stuff, I'm just like, yeah, you're all for making it easier for disabled people, but you made it harder for them to find accessible parking, or making them have to get out or even find something close to their destinations when Emmanuel repealed the parking stipulations with the blue parking card. And you know what this had to do with also? A lot of people seeing people with invisible disabilities. And when I say invisible disabilities, you don't look like you're disabled. Yeah, there's the asshole right there. I have a prosthetic limb and I walk with a cane. People might not know that I have a prosthetic limb. I've got one leg. It's harder for me to walk because when I'm walking, I look like a normal able-bodied person. But if somebody sees me, I have had this happen in the past where people have seen me park in a handicap spot, get out with my cane, and they're like, why are you in that spot? I'm like, you want me to take my leg off, hit you over the head with it, and show you why? A lot of people were complaining that they thought people were abusing the parking spots or abusing parking meters with their placards, because there were people that were abusing it that weren't really disabled who got placards. But by deciding to punish those who weren't actually entitled to the placards with reforms and enforcements, they decided they were going to punish anybody that had the placard by making all disabled people pay for the parking meters. So anyway, that's my little rant about that. I just think when I saw that live stream yesterday, with her talking about how they're making things across the city more accessible for disabled people, I'm like, not where it comes to people that need to traverse greater distances to their destination without being able to find accessible parking. Let's put that on the agenda, Ed. Disabled parking spots on every block of the city to be able to provide accessibility for disabled Chicago citizens, easier accessibility to their destination.
We'll add that to the infrastructure.
Cool.
Yep, make it happen.
So that's it. I've ranted enough. Guys, anything you want to add before we bring the show to a close? A good 2-hour broadcast.
I have to say, what an awesome episode. Shout out to Jamal Green for being on our show. We'll see what happens in the future, getting him onto Can TV. I will be reaching out to his team so we can get that set up for Chicago Corner on Can TV. Heartland's Media is live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, Odyssey, Rockford, Rumble, and Twitch. Jerry, it's good to see you kicking ass and still pushing strong.
Thank you, Kit. I'm not so easy to kill, so I will be back. I'm not going to be able to join you in studio next Tuesday because it'll actually be my 6th day, but I want to wait it out 10 days to know I'm fully safe around people. But I guess I could phone it in with if you guys want me to join you with
Jerry,
I
want you at your 100%. If I don't have Jerry at 100%,
I'll be 100% for the national show. That's cool. I mean, I can join you for the national show if you want me. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm great. I'm excited you're going to do the Can TV show with Jamal, so we can spread more awareness about what he's doing across the city, bring more viewers to Chicago Corner. Ed, anything you want to share?
Oh, sorry, I'm just a little distracted here.
Ed's always the voice of reason on the show. That's why I like having him on camera and commenting. You don't say much, but when you do say something, I think it's really worth listening to.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of times it's just a matter of wrapping my head around the story and figuring out, wait, what did I miss here? Or did we not address this part of the problem with this? It's like you're talking about, okay, we need priorities for parking. I don't think we should have parking meters in the city anymore. They need to go.
That would be the ideal solution, but in the meantime,
and I would add that to the list of things to do too. Although we'll probably need an army of lawyers to try and get out of that 75-year contract, which I don't know how many years are left on that. What, 60 something? Yeah. So, but otherwise, what do I have going on? What the usual things. If you guys want to make Chicago styles of pizza at home, go to realdeepdish.com and you can download recipes. You can look at the goofy articles that I post from time to time. I have a couple videos I put up there. If you're on Facebook, join the Facebook page for Real Deep Dish. You can also follow me on Twitter at RDDPizza. And then I think there's an Instagram too, but mostly it's just the Facebook reposts. You can find all the stuff going on at realdeepdish.com. You want to see other stuff that I'm doing, you can go to edheller.com, and it'll give you a link to the pizza website. You can see some of the other art that I've created, some of the other weird websites that I've done, some of the other art that I've created. I may even have a link or two to Chicago Corner Hardlines Media, because those are some of the things I'm working on. And I am available for voice work if you're in the Chicago area and you just want another voice to do a quick narrator voiceover or whatever. Hit me with a DM. You can DM me on my Twitter account, or you can find me at my website. There should be a link to email address if you're interested in just getting somebody to do a quick voiceover, just be a narrator, nice low voice that I currently have. Hopefully it'll last long enough so that I can do some work for you. Happy to be here on Chicago Corner. I will see you guys again on Tuesday when Kira comes back for Chicago Corner, and you can often catch me in the live chats when I am not working on any of the 99 Perspectives in Chicago Corner Hardlines Media streams.
All this talk of pizza, Ed, it always makes me hungry.
Got any fried chicken?
Best damn chicken in the state.
Bring me 4 fried chickens and a Coke.
You want chicken wings or chicken legs?
4 fried chickens and a Coke. And some dry white toast, please.
You all want anything to drink with that?
No, ma'am. A Coke.
Be up in a minute.
4 fried chickens, man. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4.
4 fried chickens and a Coke and some dry white toast. Listen, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I'm glad we could also share some time with Jamal. Again, Jamal, if you're watching or see this later, thanks for coming on with us tonight. Gentlemen, I will be speaking with you soon. And in the meantime, to everybody else, as we go into the weekend, please make sure to be safe, be vigilant, take care of each other, mask up, everybody. The variants are out there, as you can hear from my voice. I've got COVID. I've got the Rona. And hopefully I'll be back to 100% in about a week. But I will be back next Friday night for Chicago Corner. In the meantime, please stay safe as we go into this weekend. And remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Stay safe, everybody. And I look forward to joining you again with news next week. Have a good night.